Luffy versus the Straw Hats is very simple. Now, I'm sorry in advance if I might get a little rambly or off topic. I didn't make a script for this vid because the scaling is very blatant. Then I ended up making one anyways. There's no deep implications to cover. It really is just what you see is what you get. Luffy versus the Straw Hats is basically just Luffy versus Zoro and Sanji with extra steps. And by the tone of my voice, you can probably tell what I think of this match. To make this video simple, I mainly just have to prove Zoro loses to Luffy easily. Now, Zoro is my favorite character. I used to think he could defeat Big Mom. I used to think he could solo the Admirals. So you know it's bad coming from someone like me when I say base Luffy can mid-diff full power Zoro. Let me explain. The swordsman's best, most reasonable scaling is saying King of Hell mode is a bit stronger than Ashura. This basically means Zoro can replicate the same feat he performed against Kaido with far more ease. The evidence for this is both powers use Advanced Conqueror's Haki, which we know is an overall stats boost. Both forms involve Zoro exuding full power. King of Hell is being used in a healthier state, plus the form parallels Luffy and Yamato's usage of ACOG. Advanced Conquerors put Luffy and Yama at a level where they could actually keep up with hybrid Kaido. Zoro's Ashura basically did the same thing, but at the time it was a last resort attack. King of Hell is not. So like Luffy and Yamato, Zoro should be on the level where he can competently fight hybrid Kaido. However, as Katakuri once said, there are levels to this hockey shit. Or well, he didn't really say that, but you know. What I'm referring to is the difference between Luffy when he first awakened ACOG compared to when he came back to the roof with Momo. See, the first level of Advanced Conquerors Zoro, Yamato, and Luffy had is crude, as Kaido refers to it. It is nothing compared to the sky-splitting Conqueror's Haki the Emperors possess. Upon returning to the roof, Luffy demonstrates he is capable of said output. It's even a direct contrast to when he clashed earlier, yet didn't split the sky. But as said before, Advanced Conquerors isn't just an attack boost, it raises your stats overall. This is shown when base Luffy easily boxed the same Kaido who defeated him, and it doesn't stop there. Kaido gets drunk, which he only does against the strongest opponents. Didn't do this for Big Mom, by the way. From here, his Haki only got better and he became more aggressive, but base Luffy still fights him, and it's not like I'm referring to 1 or 2 feats, no. 1037 is literally just these two swapping hands the entire chapter. This is when we bring Zoro back into the fold. Then you realize for as powerful as King of Hell is, it's not getting past base Luffy. At best, they're going back and forth for a bit before Zoro runs out of stamina or Luffy just KOs. Maybe you could say Zoro stacks Ashura on top of King of Hell, then gets a whole bullets difference faster. Okay, Gear 4 like shit. G4 would body Zoro. Even if you say Snake Man and Ashura are equal in speed, Zoro only has the form for a moment. So yeah, Luffy claps Zoro in base and it's not even close. Realistically though, he would probably have to use Gear 4 anyway, because 8 other people plus the swordsman would be somewhat overwhelming. Though Sanji doesn't help this case at all. We see his actual base speed is only around Queen level, who King of Hell Zoro would blitz. However, when he taps into vanishing speed, he should be on par with the swordsman, and that's not even counting the Janbeis, which increase this. Even so, there's no evidence for vanishing speeds Ifrit Janbei Sanji to be as fast as Snake Man. If he is, it is only a temporary amp Sanji can use a few times. Base speed Diablo Janbei is not really doing anything though. People may also claim Sanji is invincible or something, yet even with his Germa genes on, he gets damaged by Queen. I don't think I have to explain the magnitudes of difference between Luffy and Queen. The rest of the Straw Hats are really just a domino effect, but before that, let me cover something else. For those who are going to say, bro, an Ashura plus Ifrit combo will insta-kill Luffy. Yeah, it will, if it even fucking touches him. I've spoken on this before, but after being trapped in the Wano arc for 4 years, the One Piece fanbase has created a headcanon of every character having Kaido level durability. It's gotten to the point where there are takes like, well, how is Luffy supposed to defeat Kid and Law when Law can one-shot him with Puncture Willie? And they're right, Luffy would get one-shot by Puncture Willie, but so would Shanks, Mihawk, Garp, and every other regular fucking human in the series. Of course, actual intelligent people know this wouldn't happen because A, stabbing a human with a machete is different from stabbing a whale, so B, people with average vitality are going to fight different from Big Mom and Kaido. Big Mom has the mentality of a child plus the luxury to play with her food, whereas Kaido is literally suicidal, intentionally taking attacks from weaker people. Regardless, it still isn't a valid comparison as I'm using Law's strongest attack, which Zoro and Sanji do not scale to. I don't even think you could say Ashura is greater than Puncture Willy. We also see King, without his special durability, tank attacks from King of Hell Zoro. Combine that with the fact that Luffy has endured mutilation multiple times, and we come to the conclusion that one sword slash from Zoro, or even an Ifrit Janbei combo, will not be enough. To reiterate, the rest of the Straw Hats are just downhill from here. Jinbei's best feat puts him on the level of the Scabbards. I know when I say that, people are gonna be like, what? No way! But take a step back and ask yourself, does Jinbei have actual showings putting him on par with these two, or are you just blinded by the fact that he seems so much more powerful for most of the series? Unfortunately, the truth is in the latter option, and it's not any better for the other crew members. Frankie, Chopper, Robin, Brook, all Tobiropo level. Keep in mind, the Tobiropo were stated to be even weaker than the weakened Scabbards, said samurai who were easily beaten by the weakest version of Kaido. Then Usopp and Nami don't even really scale to the Tobiropo. So to put this into perspective, Luffy fighting the Straw Hats without Zoro or Sanji is like Kaido fighting the 9 Scabbards, only there's fewer of them and they're lesser. In addition, the version of Kaido who beat the Scabbards is worse than Hybrid Kaido, who is worse than the Drunken Kaido base Luffy scales to. By this logic, the captain can one-shot any crew member that isn't Zoro or Sanji. It is a fucking massacre, though for anyone claiming teamwork though, let's go over that next. Yes, it's true, the Straw Hats have the best synergy in the series, only beaten by Luffy and Ace, to where it almost seems like they're reading each other's minds. We've seen the crew take out threats greater than Luffy, and if you go back to the Oars fight, it almost seems like they get an amp from teamwork. Because Oars easily bodies them, but after locking in, the Straw Hats return even better. So I don't doubt they can conjure up some sort of strategy to defeat Luffy, especially since they know him so well. However, planning only works to a certain extent. The magnitudes of difference between Luffy and the lower members is insane. Just imagine how Kaido easily blitzed Law on the rooftop, then put Jinbei in that same situation, only it's 10 times worse. It would be child's play, yet we're not even talking about Gear 4. To reiterate, Luffy is faster than the fastest 2 crew members in base. After one Black Mamba from Snake Man, everyone is done besides Zoro, Sanji, and maybe Jinbei if you think he's got that dog in him. Even so, the remaining 3 would be on death's door. Also, when you look at it from a hack's perspective, half of the team can't even damage Luffy. Nami's best attacks, which is what makes her so lethal, wouldn't work for obvious reasons. Usopp can barely damage Page 1. Robin folding Luffy would be like folding a rubber band. Chopper doesn't have Haki, meaning he only has blunt force, which does nothing, and Frankie is a similar case, but he does possess lasers plus some other gadgets. So before the battle even starts, half of the Straw Hats are relegated to a support role. But fuck it, let's just give the crew their best interpretation. Zoro Haki blooms mid-fight, unlocking sky-splitting Conqueror's Haki, then gets a blitz difference faster with Ashura. Sanji is equal to King of Hell Zoro. Jinbei can beat Queen or something, I don't know. Then the rest of the Straw Hats are on the level of the Scabbards. Usopp and Chopper conjure up a master strategy. Nami makes it rain so Jinbei gets stronger. Zoro and Sanji actually listen to each other without arguing. Gear 5 like shit. Gear 5th is a world beyond any of Luffy's forms. To put it simply, Kizaru easily parried, then blitzed the fastest version of Gear 4 with no effort. However, G5 is actually able to keep up with Kizaru. So just based off speed alone, even when I sucked off the Straw Hats, they still lose. Though in reality, when we're being fair to all parties, Luffy does not need Gear 5th. The second strongest Straw Hat is giving base Luffy a run for his money, while the third is substantially weaker than this. Then the rest of the crew would get one shot with no difficulty. You can add Yamato to this, who is about even with Zoro, and they still lose. As I said before, Luffy activates Snake Man instantly, uses Black Mamba, and the battle is pretty much over.